Hello, welcome back to Have a Strong Weekend. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Josh.
and we are up to letter E. Letter E, last week we did D, now we're up to E. And Josh, what did we decide for letter E?
All right. Well, going through funky television history, letter E is a very well. I don't know how popular it really was. Children's
Oh, it was
program
very popular. It was very popular.
from the 70s called the Electric Company. The
Brought to
Electric
you
Company.
by the Children's Television Workshop.
There's not a lot of it feels very small theater-ish, there was a lot of shows that were very public accessy, and it doesn't feel like that they have that much anymore. I don't see that a lot. It's
No,
very
just
locally.
a very lo-fi. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it reminds me of Sesame Street,
Yeah.
but like a
Yeah.
little bit of a kind of like a little bit of an older version of Sesame Street.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it still has whatever animation or whatever stuff they're doing, like they're dressed like the 70s, like hardcore, and the animation is very dated in that respect as well. So, but it's like the lessons, the way Sesame Street would give lessons, they would just basically pick a type of theme for each episode. Like, this is like the letter whatever. And then it would just go through. This one did it have a theme in the episode that we chose?
I I didn't check to see if it had well, so first a
It
little
didn't feel
background.
like it.
Alk was kind of
Alk was part of it.
sort of the theme. So this show ran from 1971 to 1977, and 780 episodes of this show. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, when we decided to do Electric Company, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those shows where I have like some vague recollections, and I remember a little bit of things because I remember watching this after school. I just remember the Electric Company, and maybe,
Mhm.
I especially remember Spider-Man on the
Spider-Man.
Electric
Yep.
Company,
Which is not in this episode that we
which is not
chose.
in this episode. But I'll be honest with you, when I watched this episode, I only remembered there was only like one thing that I was like, oh, I kind of vaguely remember that. For the most part, this was like watching something completely from another universe.
I agree, which I guess it didn't do a good job of planting any memories.
Or maybe we didn't
The
watch it as much as we thought we did. I don't know.
and maybe so. I'm sure when you're thinking about your childhood, you might just you have repeated that name over and over again throughout the years. The Electric Company. We used to watch the Electric Company, and then when you actually watch it, you're like, okay. Like I remember when the two people have their profiles and they're going in, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. They're saying the word that very much is in my memory. But everything
That
else,
was
even the theme song, I was going to tell you that the theme song sounds made up. Like on the spot.
well.
I was
The
like,
theme
that's not
song.
Sesame Street.
Well, the theme song. You mean the Electric Company? The theme song.
No, I
The
mean
theme.
that's not Sesame Street.
Oh,
As in,
yeah,
Sesame
right. Oh,
Street's
yeah, yeah.
Sesame Street's is a very recognizable theme song, and this one was like, okay,
Okay.
that's not catchy.
So I thought I was like, well, at least I'll remember the theme song. I had no memory
No
of this
idea.
theme song.
I was like,
It,
huh?
it sounded like the Cowsills or the Partridge Family. It's just something
Yeah.
real weird. Like I don't even know. It's
Like
70s, but like it's not.
it's like 70s innocence. It's the genre.
It sounded like from like a 70s musical or something. I don't know. It was real weird.
Yeah, I think theater still had its claws in a lot of TV, especially kids TV.
Well, because it was so
still,
cheap. Yeah.
yeah, so cheap. Yeah, because look at like they're doing like sets and they're just doing these really like skits, stuff that you don't see a lot anymore, probably because people want to incorporate more effects, more production value, at least as best they can. So, but then it's like, we're gonna hang up a curtain. You're gonna do some acting. You say this, and then I'll say this, and then it's so funny.
Well, yeah. So it's weird. Like the characters, like if before we watched this episode, like a week ago, if you had asked me, Electric Company, what do you remember? I would have said Spider-Man, Letterman, Easy Reader. I kind of remember him.
Uh-huh.
And none of them were in this episode. So this was like watching something for the very first time. And maybe this was too early for us. Maybe we weren't.
Yeah, because there's so many episodes. So we probably would have caught maybe the later ones in reruns or something.
Yeah. I mean, it started in 71. It ended in 77. So maybe this is just, not our wheelhouse. I mean, Sesame Street maybe is more, maybe that's more of our
it made
time.
more of an impact for sure,
Yeah.
But
well, do you want to watch?
Yeah, let's watch.
You want to watch a clip? All right, let's go to this clip. You've sort of nailed it. It's going to look very familiar to what you were just saying. Here we go.
And roll them.
Here we go.
At, chat, in, chin, ick, chick.
That's Bill Cosby on the left, obviously. And is that
No, I think that's Morgan Freeman, isn't it?
No, it's Bill Cosby. And is that yeah? And is that Rita Moreno on the right?
Rita Moreno, yeah, I knew that was her. I kept thinking that was Morgan Freeman because he's on the show, but
no, he wasn't really in this episode.
He had one skit in this episode. Remember?
Yeah, he had one kind of at the beginning, but it was mostly.
It was the dog skit. Remember Rita Moreno? I think it's her. She comes up. She's like, "Why is this doghouse? It says Dig on top." He's like, "Dig is the name of my dog."
That's right.
Dig is the name of my dog.
Now I remembered this too.
Yes, I do remember.
Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
This was our first introduction to 2001.
I know, which is really weird that they put this on a kids show.
Yeah, do you think any kids got it? You think any 5-year-olds were like, it's Kubrick. That's pretty good.
It's classic.
That's pretty good.
Kubrick.
Classic Kubrick.
Yeah, it's weird, but I guess that thing, because this is 71 probably, right? This episode. So that would mean it's, 69 was the movie. So it must have made a pretty big impact on pop culture, that whole monolith thing.
Well, that's a good point because you still see references to 2001 now. I was watching The Simpsons and there was a reference to it recently.
Oh, great Narashishi, I have come to learn from you the mystical
This feels very
of life.
late 60s, early 70s.
Learn the magic of existence.
Not just from what how they're dressed, but just the skit itself.
Yeah.
Can I get you a glass of water or something?
No, my son. I was merely meditating upon the 4 basic orcs of life. Whosoever
Acting.
Okay, that's enough. That's
Acting. That kind of 70s acting is awesome.
That's funny, yeah.
It did make me nostalgic though too, because it's like, first of all, just that time period. It's like you can picture watching this show on one of those floor TVs, those real big boxy floor TVs on like some shag carpeting. I mean, it's right as soon as you're like watching it, you're just like, God, it's such a different time.
Those TVs that weighed about 600 pounds.
Yeah, when you moved it in, you were never going to move it out.
It was never leaving. It was never leaving your house. It was there forever. And when you did actually move it, then you lift it up and there was like a big indentation around it. Like
That's right. Yeah.
it hadn't
Smashed carpet.
It hadn't been vacuumed under there in like 20 years.
Oops. Haven't moved the TV.
Those things were impossible to move, but they were so cool because they had everything. They had, sometimes they would have like the record player and the 8-track.
Yeah.
And the
oh man,
speakers built right in.
Yeah, it was like,
what did you need?
About the TV, talk about the TV being, the center of everyone's attention now, but it was a little bit more versatile then. You had the TV, the record player, the big old speakers on the side. Sometimes people would have that. The big boxy thing.
Like this,
like not good quality.
No.
Yeah, no. What do you? So we have to talk about Bill Cosby. I mean, we all know what happened to him, but
I don't know what happened, Josh. Why don't you tell us?
I don't want to go into it, but at this time, just talking about his level of fame, he wasn't like America's dad yet.
No, but he was pretty popular.
He was pretty
popular.
Which is weird. I know he was like into like education, but like but how did he end up on such a low budget show? Like, you see what I'm saying?
How did Rita Moreno?
The webs of.
Well, yeah, like how did Rita Moreno end up? I mean, she was like probably just as famous, if not even more famous.
Yeah, like how did she end up on it? Yeah, like I feel like there was way more of a mix at that time. Like you could be on something real crazy low budget, and it was just like you were just working, But like now, it feels like you would definitely make a choice. Like if you were the level of fame of Cosby at that time, you'd be like, I'm not doing that show. Like that show's like, it's real low budget. And it's just weird to see it. It's hard to figure it out.
I guess, he'd been in a couple big movies by that point. He was also, of course, big in stand-up. I can only guess that it was a paying gig that was pretty consistent. Probably same for Rita Moreno. And it's funny because so you have those two that were pretty established, and then you have a couple that got their break kind of on an electric company. Of course, one of them is Morgan Freeman. And then the other one, Irene Cara, like, I don't know, did you notice she was there was a song that was coming up. I cut it before the song, but there was a song coming up that was Irene Cara. I was like, that's not Irene Cara. And I went and I Googled it, and sure enough, it was her. So she was probably like, I don't know, teenager maybe at that point. No,
really? I guess. Yeah. And she ended up.
Yeah. She's probably like, old teenager. Probably.
Yeah, and she ended up singing on, was it the Breakfast Club soundtrack? Is that her?
No, Irene Cara was Flashdance, right?
Is that right? I'm thinking.
What a Feeling?
Irene. Oh, Irene.
Was she on Fame? Was she on Fame?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Carla, another one of those types of singers. Yes, Irene Cara from Fame. Right, correct.
And she was also, she of course did the big hit from Flashdance. Well, what's funny is that I was talking to my son. He was watching me watch this show, and I wrote down on my notes, educational TikTok. And I guess that's kind of a good description of just the little 30-second, minute-long clips. They're sort of just really quick. I guess Sesame Street was the same way, but little half-minute things.
Yeah, the only difference is, though, like if we're going to talk about like, kids and attention span and how these images are affecting it. I mean, yes, if you watch The Electric Company, there's quick cuts in that too, just depending on the skit or the cartoon or whatever. But I think it's because you had it's easy on a phone, right? To just like, you have so much variety. That's got to be doing something to your brain where you're just like choices like, oh, keep going. But there it's like you would sit down and watch the 22-minute episode or whatever. And then, so it's not really the same kind of exposure. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like your brain, you're not just going like, That's not good enough. Next one, you're just like, you would give it, you would at least watch it. You could change
You
the
had
channel.
to at least watch it. You had to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could change the channel, but you probably wouldn't be like sitting in front of the TV, because you had to get up and change the channel.
You had to get up. Yeah, you couldn't change the channel from your couch.
So it's like deterrent from just being like, you wouldn't just stand there and go to, and just like keep changing the channels for an hour. But on TikTok and their phone, you're just like, oh, no,
that's a good point.
That's gotta mess a kid's brain up.
Yeah, it's and adult brains. And
adult brains.
Yeah, you're right, because now you can just, and it kind of started with fast forward. You could just start skipping stuff. But yeah, back in the 70s, the only way to skip something was either to physically get up and walk away from the TV or to change the channel. And if you changed the channel at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, you were changing it to like One Life to Live or General Hospital or something like that. So, it was like, oh my God, that's even worse.
No choices. So you just would be like, I'll just watch it. It's fine.
I'll just watch this weird hallucinogenic like 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah. And it's like, you're watching it, and if you leave or have to go to the bathroom or something, it's like you just missed it. Like you
missed it. You couldn't pause it.
That was no rewinding at that time. It was just like, I'll never see that again, ever.
No, and sometimes you never would. There were so many things I remember seeing when I was a kid that I've never seen, that I've tried to find, and they're gone forever.
Yeah.
No, never know what happened. I mean, I even remember there were certain shows, even into the 80s, that would have like montage of like movie clips at the beginning of the episode. I can't remember the name of the show now, but it would sometimes show like a little clip of Star Wars of like the X-Wing going down in the trench. And I would like watch that show every single Wednesday afternoon just to see. No. Hurry.
It's on. I'm coming. Bringing a big bowl of popcorn or something.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Bowl of popcorn.
Yeah. God, those were the days, though. I think it's just that, obviously everyone has nostalgia for being a kid. So, I mean, it's not like people won't have nostalgia for these days, the kids. But it's just different. I think you could really absorb things a lot in a much slower, more methodical way then, and everything moves so fast now. Life moves pretty fast.
That's a spoiler for our episode next week.
Yeah.
If anybody caught that.
Yeah. Hopefully they will. If anybody's watching.
Well, you got anything else?
No, not really. I mean, the electric company, for me, just represents, there's a lot of edutainment things for kids, Sesame Street, there is a lot of stuff on YouTube now that does that, but you just can't beat like that sort of low budget, like show. They're doing like basically filming like a live play and different skits. Like that one skit where Bill Cosby and that one guy, he's like trying to sell cola,
Yeah.
He's like, cola zig-a-dag-a-diggy.
Yeah, that
this
was
terrible.
Yeah.
Like he drank it at the end. He was like, "No, what's in this?"
Real
stupid.
Yeah, it's like I wonder who the target audience was, because I wonder if like the 3 to 4 to 5-year-old would find that funny, but I bet you the 8 to 9 to 10-year-old would.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, like, but I think it's also like any kid show. Like I'm in the midst of that now with my 2.5-year-old, so she watches a lot of YouTube stuff, and a lot of the stuff there's no way she'll get, but it's like more about images and goofy things happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a 3-year-old or whatever could probably watch the Electric Company and just kind of be like they don't know what's funny and they're not judging it that way. They're just kind of like stuff is going on. Here's Bill Cosby with like he's got the drawn on like Fu Manchu thing, and the guy with the wigs is like trying to sell cola, and I could just see me in front of the TV at that time just being like I'm just letting it like absorb, no idea what's going on. Like, why is this skit happening? I don't know, but I'm watching it. I think that's how kid things work.
We should probably let people know which episode we're watching. Episode 21 of season 1. So if you want to go back and watch, it's on YouTube. You can definitely watch it for free. So episode 21 of season 1 is the one that we watched. That's one that had like that Dribble Cola sketch, and the one with
Dribble Cola.
Dribble Cola.
Yeah,
But,
no one's looking to make money off Electric Company anymore.
No. Well, okay,
just watch it.
I got something interesting here about it. All right, so here were some of the cameo guest appearances from that were on the Electric Company from 71 to 78. I'll just run through them real quick. Woody Allen, Carol Burnett, Barbara Eden, Walt Frazier, Peter Graves, Lauren Green, Grover. That's kind of funny. Diane Keaton,
Special guest.
Yeah, Diane Keaton, Michael Landon, Dean Martin, Dick Martin. Was he the guy from?
Martin.
Okay, he was the Ronan. He was the Martin partner for Ronan Martin.
He's the Martin.
Okay, got it. Greg Morris, don't know who that is. Joe Namath, Carol O'Connor, Tony Orlando, Oscar the Grouch, Gary Owens, Richard Paul, Dan Rowan. Okay, so I bet you Dan Rowan and Dick Martin were on the same episode. Gene Stapleton, Lily Tomlin.
That's the most 70s guest list I've ever heard. Like,
no kidding.
They, like 90% of them didn't even get out of the 70s famous. Like, we're not famous anymore, but at the time, I mean, it's just part of the continuum of celebrity.
I feel like I was doing the roll call of like a 70s variety show episode.
Yeah.
Tonight, Diane Keaton, Tony Orlando, Lily Tomlin, Gene Stapleton.
Tony Orlando. Knock,
and
knock,
Peter Graves.
What's that song that Tony Orlando sings? Like, knock 3 times on the pipe, and that you love me.
Yeah, he did a tie yellow ribbon around an old oak tree and knock 3 times.
Yeah, yes. And because one of his jokes was, my mother is Puerto
Hungary.
Rican, and my father is hungry, so I'm a Hungarican.
Yeah, that was, yeah. It's a good
Kind
gag.
of a good one. Yeah.
Good gag.
That's a good gag. But yep, Electric Company.
So would we give this show a second chance in 2023?
How many light bulbs would you give this show?
I like it. I give this 8 light bulbs on out of 10 light bulbs.
Oh, that's pretty good. I think, I might go 7 light bulbs.
Okay.
They get dinged because they had Cosby on.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't know.
That's true.
Hindsight is 2020.
It's always 2020. That's true. That's a good point.
7 out of 10 light bulbs.
It's pretty good. Not bad.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Guess we'll wrap it up, and we will see everybody back here next week for letter F. Have a strong weekend. Probably should add that.
And subscribe.
Go down below and get the comments. Hit the comments up.